Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Insane Monster, and due to the poll that I did yesterday, the next what if is going to be what if Deku had anti venom. So this one is the part zero that will help with a bit of a setup. So instead, we'll be starting this off not in the My Hero universe, but into the Marvel universe, where we see Eddie Brock, who currently has anti-venom, though there was a bit of an accident that they fell victim to. A a user of cosmic energy, a herald of Galactus, ended up using an attack that infected Eddie with some form of cosmic virus. Keeping it at bay is slowly killing him and anti-venom. Anti-venom can hardly keep up with it. As a last resort, they decided to do something to make sure Anti-Venom can live on even if Eddie doesn't. They decide to use the Mind Stone within Vision's head, as well as the Soul Stone they got after defeating Thanos. And by the way, this isn't based off of the Infinity Wars thing, okay? But back to the what if he asked the Avengers to help him, and they agreed as sort of a dying wish kind of thing. Once they brought the stones, Eddie extended Anti-Venom's tendrils to touch both the Mind and the Soul Stone, giving Anti-Venom a consciousness and soul of his own. If you don't know why I'm doing this or why it's necessary, Anti-Venom is a symbiote that was made weirdly from traces of venom being charged up with Negative Man's powers and merging with white blood cells. If I believe that's how it went. And from coming into contact with the mind and soul infinity stones, he gained his own anti-venom, gained the form of sentience of his very own. After that, he ordered anti-venom to leave and find a new host before his attempts in healing him from the cosmic virus would kill them both. Anti-venom was reluctant, but he agreed. One thing led to another, and unfortunately, it anti-venom ended up in Shield's hands, along with multiple other symbiotes, including Venom, Carnage, and a good number of others like Toxin. Overhearing the scientists talk, though they weren't in the room, Anti-Venom found that strange. He thought maybe the Mind Stone gave him the ability to read surface thoughts of people. What I mean by surface thoughts are like the strongest thoughts that are in their minds or what they're speaking, even if you can't hear them. Because you gotta think about what you're saying before when you actually say it and all that. So yeah, that's the only addition I have for anti venom besides the consciousness thing. So there's that. He realizes that they're going to try to use anti-venom as a test subject to find a way to kill symbiotes with making weapons to either protect their planet or to annihilate all of the symbiotes, since they could be considered a threat as a whole. He doesn't really agree with that, and he sees Toxin next to him. Him and Toxin, on the power scaling on symbiotes, they're pretty much top tier. It's kind of like a 1 to 10 scale, and both Anti-Venom and Toxin are level 10s. For reference, Carnage is a 9 while Venom's an 8. Okay, so now he says, I can't let this happen, or at least he thinks it since he's in a bottle. So he hurries up and tries to break out. Luckily, they thought anti-venom would be more docile, so they didn't really pay too much security for him. He was able to get out, and once he was, he latched on to one of the scientists. Looking through his mind for about where he was and a way out, he found that they were in a laboratory facility run by SEALD for all sorts of tech. He also found out that one of the tech that they were looking at was a dimensional portal. He saw his way out with that portal, but he grabbed Toxin and broke him free, allowing him to latch on to another one of the scientists so they can get out. As for the other symbiotes, well, Toxin wasn't gonna just let them get away. He already, I mean, no, yeah, sorry, Carnage. It was Carnage. Sorry, trying to remember all the symbiote names. But basically, Carnage wasn't going to let them escape. He's been wanting to kill Toxin for a while now, even in the comics. And he thought this would be a good chance to also kill Anti-Venom as well. So he broke free with as much force as possible. But in doing so, he also let loose the other symbiotes. They hurried up and followed. Carnage followed them to kill them. The rest overheard what they were discussing about that portal and thought it was also a good way to get out of there. Once they got there, Car- Carnage and Antivenom used the scientists' memories to activate the portal. Once that was done, they set a timer for it to self-destruct so that they wouldn't be able to follow it. And they also made sure that any data that they did have would be destroyed about the portal. Once that was taken care of, they knocked out their temporary host and went through the portal. But while the timer was going for it to blow up, the other symbiotes came in and hurried up and jumped through. As they were going through the portal, which was visually think of a bright tunnel, and they found themselves dropping out of the sky. Quickly, they connected for a moment to communicate for a rendezvous point once they each found a viable host. Then they went their separate ways to look for new hosts, but it didn't take them long to sense that other symbiotes were coming through. So they had a little bit more of an urgency to find hosts, but they needed one that would be compatible with them because if they didn't, it could end up killing their hosts. On Antivenom's side of looking for a host, he saw that a kid was getting beat up defending someone. It angered him a bit, but he knew he had to hold back. There was too many eyes around to do anything, and he hoped that they were going to hurry up and finish. But they did end up not taking that long. After the other kids left, Antivenom hurried to the kid, seeing how badly beaten he was. He extended a tendril to touch him to see if he was a viable host. He was somewhat out of it. So if he wasn't viable, he thought he probably would just think he hallucinated it or something. But to his surprise, this child was a viable host. In fact, it was a perfect one. So he merged instantly. And if you're wondering who this host is, all you gotta do is remember the name of the what if. It was Deku after he defended that kid from Bakugo and his friends and ended up getting beat up for his troubles. In the Mindscape, he tells Izuku that that he will offer him strength and power in exchange for nutrients from his bloodstream. All he has to do is make sure he eats properly and all that, so that there would be added nutrients for him to feed on. And Izuku asks, "But what? Okay, but you said this was some kind of deal, this is some kind of deal kind of thing, right? So what are you giving me in exchange for the stuff in my blood?" I will, he responds with, "I will give you strength and power. I am all I have already healed all your wounds from those miscreants beating you." Wait, what? You don't need to thank me. The deal isn't half bad, wouldn't you say? From what I can tell from that fight, this world seems to have many with powers, and you don't seem to have none. How about we even the scale a bit?" Zuko paused for a minute thinking, and then looked at him, saying, "Okay, I'll take it. But does this mean I can become a hero?" Anti-Venom looked at him surprised. "A hero, huh? I used to have a partner called Eddie Brock, and he was a bit of a hero as my partner. We saved people, many lives. If you wish to become a hero, I have no objections to that. Just remember to eat well enough so I can have some nutrients to feed on as well." Zuko smiled and said, "All right, it's a deal." And he woke up. Once Izuku got on his feet, he said, "Oh, my head. Why does that? What is this feeling?" And then he heard a voice in his head. "Sorry, there is a bit of an adjustment period for our symbiosis. Your mind is adapting to having two consciousness in the same body." "Okay, I guess that wasn't a dream then." "Nope, not in the slightest, young Izuku." "Okay, so what can I do?" "First, we need to go meet someone." "Wait, what?" "Yes, I came here with, uh, let's say, an acquaintance of mine. Unfortunately, others of my kind some of which who are, let's say, less than pleasant, have also come here. So we must meet him." "Okay, but who is he?" "He is another symbiote whose name is Toxin." Toxin? That doesn't sound really friendly." "Maybe not. Though, when it comes to his personality, whether he's good or evil, he's actually more or less neutral. As long as he gets to enjoy himself and he and gets properly fed and such, he won't have any problems with what his host wishes to do. Though that also depends on what his host wishes to do, so we should hurry and find him quick. I already told him a rendezvous point, so let's get going." Okay, I guess I was gonna go home, but I guess we can't just leave your friend alone, can we?" "Not really, no." "Okay." Then we rewind a little bit where we go to where Toxin is looking for a host. He said, "Come on, I need to find someone. I gotta find someone good. I don't need them dying from being rejected from the symbiosis." He goes around and sees a young girl with blonde hair and yellow eyes. A kid, huh? Just great. Oh, wouldn't hurt to just check. He, he goes underneath the porch that she's sitting on and extends a tendril to her leg to check. Huh, she may be a kid, but she is a perfect host for me, at least. What the hell is this? She has some kind of power? I'll look into this more. First, he latches onto Toga And yes, if you didn't get the description of the hair and eyes and the picture on the screen, then yes, Toga has toxin. As for the other symbiotes, they kind of got scattered all about. Some were found by people who were not really the best people you'd want to let get a symbiote. And others, uh, mostly just kind of latched onto to an animal for temporary usage until they found someone. Then they just booked it. Now, back to Toxin and Toga. Toga flinches for a little bit and just kind of pauses, while C2 enters a type of mindscape with Toxin. Toxin decides to talk to her and explains what's going on, saying that she will require some nutrients from her blood, and in exchange, she would gain power. Who, in his memories, he can tell what she was told about her power. That by consuming people's blood, she could shapeshift or turn into them. Though, if you don't know what Toxin's powers are, Toxin can pretty much shapeshift into anybody he wants, despite the size difference in the person that he's part of the host of. He's so in Anti-Venom's terms, his healing power is second to none in the symbiote. And when it comes to Toxin, his camouflage and shapeshifting ability is also second to none compared to the other symbiotes. She asked, "Wait, what? But why?" "Because I require nutrients from somebody's blood, though it's more or less I will be a type of partner for you and you will be my host. You will gain power, strength, speed, agility, and some other attributes that we will discuss later. Also, from what I can tell from your memories, and from what I can tell from the power that I am connected to you right now, I can see that you have not yet awakened a part of your power. Something very special from what I can feel, but I can't quite pinpoint what exactly it does." She reacts with, "Wait, what? I thought I could just turn into other people. There's something else to it?" He replies with, "Yes, there is. Though, not quite sure what it is. It most likely needs to be awakened by some form of stress or from a need to use it. Either way, I might be able to help you unlock this ability as well. Also, I won't stand for any of those little punks who mess with you because of how did your memories put it? Quirk, was it? I won't let them mess with you about it. Alright? But first, if you agree, we have to go and meet a bit of a acquaintance of mine. If we don't, he'll probably just track us down, and then we got a bit of an annoying argument to deal with. And I'd rather not get in a fight with that particular guy. Okay. So, is everything you said true?" He replies with, "Yes, it is. I have no need to lie to you, child." He swallows and says, "Alright, fine. Now then, if you know Toga's powers, ingesting somebody's blood allows her to shapeshift into them. But if you're not, uh, you know, up to date when it comes to the manga, then I'm not gonna say what that added power is that she awakens later in the manga. So I'm gonna hold that off for a different part of the what if, but she will be getting it earlier than in the canon manga and stuff and all that. She snaps out of it, thinking, "What was that?" And then she hears Toxin's voice in his head. "Hey, We have to hurry up to the meeting, so let's get going. Okay. This is gonna need to get used to. Definitely. Okay, so where do we have to rendezvous at? Tarkin replies with, "There's an old statue near. There was an old statue near a park where there would be a large grouping of trees. Go into that grouping of trees behind that old statue in the park nearby." Toga replies with, "Oh, okay," and she goes ahead and just kind of rolls with it at this point. When they get there, they already see a kid with green hair and green eyes there. "Hey, Toxin, is that him?" "That is my acquaintance's host." "Okay, who is this acquaintance name?" "His name is Anti-Venom." "Okay, so," which is when a white mask comes out of the Zuku, forming a symbiote head thing, and saying, "Toxin, I know you're behind that tree, so come on out." Izuku just kind of reacts and says, "Wait, they're already here?" Which then he just sees a girl and a red and blue tendril with another symbiote face coming out of her back, coming towards them. They talked about some things. Most of all, what exactly can they do with their powers? They also, Toga and Izuku introduced each other as well. Izuku saying, "I guess we're kind of in the same boat, huh?" "Yeah." And then they go ahead and ask, "Hey, you both said something about us being perfect hosts. What exactly does that mean?" They explained that when a symbiote bonds with somebody, they will form something called symbiosis, though their ability to form symbiosis depends on the individual that they connect with. In the worst cases, the symbiosis will reject, and it could cause damage to the attempted host. If it's somewhat okay, then it will react in a way to where we could both live comfortably. Though a perfect symbiosis is something even greater. It could allow us to draw out more power of ourselves. Not to mention, it would also allow us, well, actually, this part is more of a bit of a downgrade, I suppose you may call it, or side effect. If we were to be separated from you, whether we had no choice or it was by force, both symbiote and host could end up dying. They replied, "Wait, what? So we're basically stuck with you?" And they just kind of said, "Yeah, pretty much." Which they kind of look depressed about. So they asked, "So what do we do now, you two?" Anti-Venom and Toxin replied with, "Well, we had to hurry and find hosts, but luckily we found you two perfect hosts. But the bad news is that you're just children. So we'll have to lay low for a while until we find the others." Izuku reacts with, "Wait, others?" And Toga just replies, Yeah, Toxin told me that there were other symbiotes that followed them here." "Wait, I don't get it. Follow them here from where?" They explained that they were, well, from not just from outer space, but from a different universe. Though they did end up going through a portal that was on Earth to begin with. So it kind of made sense that they would wind up in another Earth. They were pretty shocked about that, but still. "Well, what do we do now about them?" "For now, nothing. from what I've seen in your memories, Izuku, there's plenty of heroes that can help deal with them. In terms of Carnage, the more troublesome of the lot, he's probably going to have to be dealt with by those heroes with fire quirks like that one known as Endeavor. Wait, fire? Why fire? And this was asked by Toga. Toxin replied with, some symbiotes have weaknesses, and those weaknesses tend to vary. The three weaknesses that happen to be the most common among symbiotes are electricity, fire, and high frequency sound waves. However, me and Antivenom are of the highest quality of symbiotes, so we do not share those weaknesses. But that does not mean we can't be hurt. They replied with, okay, but what do you mean? Well, our host can get damaged, but we do have the ability to heal as well. We can heal you if you get something like a broken bone or multiple broken bones. We can heal those easily and in mere seconds. Toxin also says that when it comes to healing, anti-venom is by far the strongest among the symbiotes when it comes to its healing abilities. And anti-venom replies with that Toxin's shapeshifting and camouflage ability are the strongest. Toga reacts with, hang on, you can camouflage and shapeshift? Which Toxin just said, pretty much, yeah. Which probably helps with the fact that you too have a shapeshifting power. Maybe that might be part of why you're a perfect host for me. Izuku's just geeking out, saying, wait, you already have a quirk that allows you to shapeshift? That which he says, yeah, kind of unenthusiastically, but and explains what exactly it is. And then says about what Toxin said. Then Midoriya just kind of goes on rambling, being curious about what all that hidden ability of her transformation ability could do. And you just see Toga and Toxin looking at him funny, and Anti-Venom having that little anime sweat drop thing on him, saying, "Oh, good grief! Sorry, it seems like my host is a bit of a hero nerd." But Tsujuko instantly snaps out of it and says, "Hey, Anti-Venom, that's not nice." Well, it's true, isn't it? Mm. So, more or less, the introduction goes pretty well. After that, they decided to try to see what else, train to see what they could do. But they decided to hide their symbiotes, at least for the time being. If you're wondering, no, wait, this can't be Toga, you have to figure it. Toga became like this due to her quirk and how it was not probably and how people reacted to her because of it. But at this age, she just recently found out what it was. So she hasn't had all the time to get influenced by her environment to have something happen with it. Not to mention that since Toxin is a neutral type symbiote, she'll be influenced a good bit by Deku and or Antivenom. So while they're training, they realize that Toga can spin all the webs that she wants, which she finds pretty cool. Izuku likes the webs too, but he finds out that, and yes, this is canon and comic, Anti-Venom has limited whenever it comes to webbing. When he asks why, Anti-Venom just states with, my webbing is more or less just me. I'm just extending myself. And I only have so much of myself to go around. Deku just looked at him and say, I don't think Uh, I heard that kind of phrase said before, but I think my mom told me that it wasn't a good thing to say. The doctor just said it isn't, and Auntie Venom just replied, "Just well, I haven't had a full consciousness for very long, so sorry. I gotta pick up on a couple of subtle cues or whatever you humans call it." So they train and stuff, and while they're also telling them about past users of symbiotes, as well as one called Flash Tommen, who had a symbiote called Venom, who was able to become a perfect host, where he was even able to absorb armor and weaponries into the symbiote to become part of it. They were surprised and said, "Wait, if we're a perfect sync too, does that mean that we can incorporate like armor and stuff into you guys?" They replied with, "Well, yes, you can. Stuff like body armor, weaponry. If I'm not mistaken, the Venom symbiote that bonded with him later became known as a type of hero referred to as Agent Venom. He even incorporated shoulder rockets into the symbiote." And they were just freaking shocked. "Wait a minute. If you can incorporate a rocket launcher thing into you and it still works despite you guys aren't a machine?" They just said, "Well, yeah." And explained that symbiotes adapt to what they to multiple ways, from absorbing equipment, like in the picture of Agent Anti-Venom in the top left corner here, or from gaining traits from their host. They respond with, "Wait, you mean you can gain powers based off of your host?" They replied with yes, and that they can also enhance those abilities. Increased strength, speed, and agility are only just based abilities that come naturally with a symbiote. If you're wondering about our abilities with wall crawling and the webbing, oh, we should also mention that part of our abilities we got from our symbiote bloodline is the ability of sensing danger. It's referred to as spider sense. The first of our, well, I suppose humans would call it family, was the symbiote called Venom. He's a neutral type, but he bonded with a superhero that went by the name Spider-Man. He had powers of a spider for wall crawling and all that. When Venom bonded to him, he had incorporated spider abilities into himself. And when he spawned, other symbiotes or parts of him ended up becoming symbiotes like I did. Then they would also have the abilities of the Spider-Man, even if they were enhanced. Though, time and time again, when he later on fought Spider-Man with a different host, he still lost. Apparently, normally symbiotes just use their power just, well, using it. They don't really strategize it, you could say. So more or less, they lost because the Spider-Man used more strategy. We should also warn you that your emotional states may be heightened in different ways depending on yourselves. Uh, Toga replies with, "Is that a good or a bad thing?" Clarkson just says, "It honestly depends on what kind of person you are. Though, considering you're still children, you still have ways to go to develop who you are." They keep training and throughout a couple of years and months, trying to hide the symbiotes. And with Bakugo getting annoyed that Deku keeps getting away from them while they're going to bully him, and he just disappears. Until one day that they find him training with Toga, when he says, "Deku, you nerd!" when did you have when did you get a quirk? Rah! And just full on attacks him with he can sense all of the attacks coming his way from the spider sense. Toga just kinda looks saying, "Hey, is that Bakugo kid that Deku no, that Izuku was telling us about a while ago?" Doctor just said, "Yeah, it looks like uh, blonde hair, angry, with explosions coming from his hands. I'd say that's him." After that, but it didn't take them very long in the fight. Zuko just kind of web slinged them to a tree, and even webbed his mouth shut, which made Bakugo even more freaking furious. And mentioned they're in elementary school at this point. After a while waiting for Bakugo to calm down, they take the webbing off of his face and tell him that, well, that these are their quirks. And he replies, "Wait, why are your quirks similar? I mean, they got different colors and all that, but they have some similarities." They just kind of react. They just kind of panic eternally, and then Anti Venom hurries up and tells Izuku, just tell him that some people that have no relations can still end up with a similar or same quirk, like those water hose heroes. Which Izuku then ends up telling him that he awakened his quirk, and because of it, he was able to find someone. It was kind of like sensing them or something like that. That he was able to find someone with a similar quirk, which is when Toga introduces herself. Bakugo just has an annoyed face and says, "Oh, really? Then how long have you had this?" And he replies with a couple of years, which he just gets even angrier, saying, "What the hell? Were you having fun tricking me, making me think you were quirkless?" Which Deku just says, "No, not really. I mostly didn't tell you because I figured you would act exactly like this." Which Baku just says, "Grr, you little, get me down from this tree right now." Which he does do, and then Bakugo just kind of storms off. Speed up a little bit, and Midoriya and Toga train on and off, yet to try to get better with their controls. They don't have any access to weapons or armor to absorb into their symbiotes, so they just kind of have to work with it. Though they find out that they are able to switch between a more monstrous, I guess, form, the typical symbiote look with the fangs and claws and stuff, to a more superhero suit kind of thing, like Agent Venom, or and all that. So essentially more slick looking. But Toga one day is just kind of bugged out one night, saying, which is where Toxin acts as her, "What exactly is going on with you?" And at this point, they're in, like, I want to say, like in the middle year or years of middle school. I know that they do uh, their schooling grades differently with elementary, middle, and high school in Japan than what they do in America. So there's that. But she just sighs and says, "I don't know, but I feel weird recently every time I get near Izuku." And Toxin just replies with, "Well, yes, I've noticed that. I just figured that you might have liked the boy." Which he instantly blushes and says, "Wait, huh?" And just has a little freak out yelling at Toxin. And before any of you ask in the comments, yes, uh, Toga and Deku's parents know about their powers and they know about each other's families and all that. And they actually do get along. But back to the story. Toga just reacts, but she just kind of just beat red and sighs, thinking, oh man, what am I gonna do? Toxin just sighs and says, just be direct with the kid. If and also choose your words carefully while you're being direct. If you say the wrong thing, he might misunderstand, and then he'll just mutter non-stop trying to figure this out, or figure out what you're saying, or he'll just kind of shut down and kind of, well, you know him. Yeah, yeah, I do. So, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna have to talk to him. Oh god, I already know if Bakugo finds out about this, he's gonna mess with us. He already does, considering how much we train. Bakugo more or less mess with them, calling them lovebirds already, saying that and everything. But the next day, Toga ends up going to Zuku while they're on a break from training, and she talks to him and tells him how she feels and all that. Which Izuku is just has a blank face. He is stunned. He doesn't know what to think. His mind is going 100 miles per hour, and he doesn't know what to say. Which a white tendril comes out of his back and smacks him in the back of the head, with anti venom yelling in his head, "Say something, you idiot!" Which he just yells at, "Oh, okay, anti venom." He says, "Well, Toga, I think that's great. I mean, he just kind of trips all over his words. He doesn't know how to respond. But eventually they do agree to date, though they also agree to kind of keep it secret, especially considering it's Bakugo. Throughout the rest of the time, until the beginning of the anime and canon, they do keep it secret, and they actually find it kind of ex- exciting and fun keeping their relationship secret. Though people around them, they see that it's Hoga. Like if you mess with her, the only real person that could reel her in from doing something violent would be Izuku. So the teachers just actually keep an eye on her, considering some people, and yes, I mean some people, and I mean people because if you've been in high school or middle school or whatever, people that age tend to be kind of jerks. So Izuku has to keep an eye to make sure she doesn't lash out on them for messing with her, which she is grateful for. But at this point, we have, oh dear God, we're at 43 minutes. Well, this is the end of part zero, and as if you're curious about what the other symbiotes have been doing, they found their hosts, and some of them are wreaking some havoc, and others are laying in wait, especially two in particular, the more famous of the symbiotes, Carnage and Venom. Carnage did bond with somebody, and Venom just kind of got strung along. He's a neutral, but he does need a host to survive, and Carnage's host more or less offered him one, which he had no choice to agree in exchange for serving them. Symbiotes mostly prefer to stay alive rather than just die out as I guess you call it a living puddle goop, whatever you want to call it. But either way, this is the end of part zero. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Also remember to hit the bell and for all future uploads to be notified and all that. Leave a comment below. And if you're curious about the other symbiotes besides Anti-Venom, Venom, Toxin, and Carnage that are going to be in this, well, sorry, but you're going to have to wait until later parts because it's going to be kind of crazy. So please remember to like, subscribe, and all that, and have a good day. And the monster out.